And it's the Church Solutions Podcast, and my name is Phil Thompson.
And I'm Steve Lacey.
Steve, what's cooking today?
Just got back from the Glue AI Hackathon.
Nobody knows what that is. Well, not
That
nobody,
was
but a few people.
It was a hackathon on AI. They brought a bunch of AI people together and to try to put together something that would help the church universally, kind of the big C church, sponsored by Glue, or the guys that put together the He Gets Us commercial campaign, as well as a bunch of other systems and tools that are kind of geared for the big church.
So it's a techie thing. Did you solve all the problems?
We saw that there's tons of opportunities out there. There were 40 teams with over 200 people. So each team had a project that they presented that was against a certain challenge area. So all the presentations were Sunday. So it was really exciting. Seeing we're at the beginning of a new age. I equate it to 1995 when Netscape put the browser out and people said, "Oh, wow, there's this web thing." So it's kind of, I think we're in that era.
The church is moving. Well, that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about today. We have a guest, and we're going to talk about tech trends for the church in 2024. This is episode 402, by the way. And our guest here this morning, we'll just jump into this because he's a busy guy. He's got experience, lots of experience in life. He's got experience. He's laughing in music, in broadcasting, record producing, audio stuff, worship, video, set design. He's even acted in some commercials. He's also done stand-up comedy, which I really I'd love to talk to you about that, Joe, but we probably won't. But
anytime, call me after.
Yeah, and he's a seasoned veteran. The bottom line is this guy's a seasoned veteran of digital media, entertainment, and technology. He's a lot of fun. He's currently in the sales and marketing strategist with Church Production Magazine. Please welcome Joe Palumbo to the Church Solutions Podcast. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing good. I was laughing because when I go over all the things I've done, I'm like, why am I not retired yet?
Yeah, I can kind of relate. Yeah, absolutely. Why aren't you retired?
It's just so much fun, man, to be alive and learn new things. And on this side of the business, what's been great being in the worship market is you really are helping people.
Yeah.
And you really realize that these churches use technology to spread the gospel. That's what they're doing. And that's what I explain to a lot of people I work with, like, whether it's Canon or Panasonic or Sony or whatever the case may be. They got to get their heads around that so that they can really help the churches.
Yeah. And the one word that's not in the Bible, right?
Video?
No. Well, video is not in there either. The one more commonly accepted, retired. It's not in the Bible. There is no idea of retirement.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. It's nice to stay useful and to be helping people. I feel like working at church production with these guys. I mean, it is really a ministry for them. They really look at it that way, and that's really helped us to do some great work for our clients and for the people who are tasked with implementing technology in their churches to help, build the community.
Yeah. Retirement's not in the Bible, but the word death is. So that's where I'm going to, I guess. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Look, let's jump in here because there's people listening to this thing going, they're chomping at the bit right now. I can just see them right now chomping at the bit. What are the new tech trends, or at least the tech trends for 2024 coming up for the church? And this, of course, is your opinion. But we value your opinion. So tell us what's going on. What's coming up in 2024 when it comes to tech?
Well, I think what's happening is that we're in a world now where obviously everything's changing, right? And it looks like faith is slipping away. from a lot of people. But I don't know. There's a lot of studies show that millennials are very open to learning about faith. So I think the churches, have realized their survival is going to be finding them where they are. They're on their phones. They're in, they're in technology. So the research I've done is about 10% of the church's revenue. They're really going to be investing this year in new technologies, not new technologies, more efficient technologies, right? So one of the things is obviously the hybrid church is here to stay, right? That's really important to understand. And because I'm having some work done on the house, I told them not to, sorry. So they plan, right, to continue doing this, but most of them are streaming now through social media. They don't want to do that. So 81% of the people that are going to continue doing both in person and the hybrid, they really they don't want to do it through social media anymore.
And
right?
why is that?
Well, I don't really have an answer for that, but I think there's a lot of political reasons with the way social media operates. But I also think that the churches, what they do is they can be more control of the broadcast, right? They could be more in control, with their own player. It's more giving everyone a custom experience. Because you remember when YouTube first started, right? And no one cared what the videos look like. They were like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Yeah. And then for a certain part, up until the pandemic, the churches were really very focused on the sanctuary. What was going on in the sanctuary. Well, that's exploded outside. The technology allowed it to explode outside the sanctuary, right? So they have to create compelling content and a bright worship experience, because that's how they're going to capture more people in their community. And then the streaming has allowed them to reach outside their community. So I think they're looking for a more custom experience for their communities, for their congregation.
Yeah. So we have had some. I mean, we obviously do the streaming. I mean, you're painting a very bright picture for our corner of the world, and we have had some ministries that are coming kind of back to the. We did a whole podcast on this, of making your church website kind of your hub for all of your streaming, and then using the social and the other avenues as outreach to bring people into your hub. So
right.
we've seen some of that. We haven't seen a lot of it start happening yet, but I guess that's why it's a prediction about the future, huh? We'll see. You're predicting more and more of that in 2024. Are there other reasons? Are there other things you see happening? Changes?
Well, I think part of the driving is the churches want, like, they want church specific tools, because they have a very specific way that they're reaching, right? It's not NBC, it's not sports, not CBS, so what happens is they don't want more tools, right? They want more purpose-built tools. That's what they're looking for from the manufacturers. So, like, currently, half the churches have between 5 and 9 digital tools. And also, too, is they don't have the personnel to manage the vast amount of digital tools that are out there. So they don't want more in their stack. They want to do more with the stack they have, right? And so anyone out there listening that's a church tech, is when you're talking to your rep, your technology rep, how do we customize and do more with the stack we have, or how do we add to this stack to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish? Listen, if you go to a big church like Elevation, places like that, they have people, they have engineers, they have everybody. But so, like, my church, it's a 400, 500 seats. We have a beautiful broadcast. We have an ability to do a lot, but there's only one audio guy and one video guy, right? Everybody else is volunteers.
Mhm.
They don't have time to train every single person. They got to get better with what they have, and they need purpose-built tools to do that.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, efficiency is going to be a big focus. How do you see them becoming more efficient with, the same tools they have and with the same staff or even, a smaller set of volunteers?
Well, I think they need to plan, right? So they need to, what happens is with content, churches, like anybody else, have to plan their content out. That's really important. So whether it's, they're going to do an event, whether they're going to do like, like a harvest festival, if they're going to have scripture readings, whatever they're going to do, it has to really be planned out. And then they have to figure out the tools they need to be able to do that.
I think Steve is also maybe hinting towards, I'll give you the initials, AI. Do you see AI being more involved? I mean, we do. And Steve just got back from a conference or whatever this thing was he calls it, where AI was quite involved in almost every one of the projects. Do you see churches embracing AI right away? I mean, it's already happening, Joe. So do you think some people are just going to resist it and push off as far as it being a trend?
I do. Can you guys hear that in the background?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that brings me to one of the things is, not a lot of churches are in the metaverse right now. Right. So that is going to be a big deal. Like churches are now thinking about how do we get into the metaverse? That means AI. That means, augmented reality, all that stuff. So yeah, I do think that's going to play a large role, right? But the only thing that concerns me about that is worship is a very personal experience. Churches have to be very careful about taking the people. Churches are filled with people, right? So I think that's important. But I do see the metaverse playing, the AI and this stuff it's definitely something churches are looking at for 2024 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get out much, but I haven't come across any churches that are moving into the metaverse yet. And do you feel like, I mean, do you think that's going to be a trend? I mean, where I come from, the metaverse and AI are two separate things. So, I'm, I'd be surprised how much, how big the metaverse. Maybe it's just because I haven't been in it yet. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Have you
Well,
experienced it yet?
Define for me. I mean, I think I know what the metaverse is, but tell me, what is the metaverse? I mean, we're talking virtual stuff. What?
Yeah, we're talking, virtual reality, augmented reality, those type of things. That's putting stuff out into the metaverse, right? And then also too is all these automated tools like AI. AI is the hot thing right now. I don't know. I think they're making a big thing about it in the media. I still think, worship it's all about people, so they got to be really careful about that. I don't think like the metaverse is going to explode. I mean, you got some of these very big churches, right? Like, they have a lot of money and that, they're using it. I don't think like Ridgeway, my church, is going to enter the metaverse this year, but I think it's something that as they develop tools, as they get more, they're going to look toward. They want to look toward how can we use this to build community. That's really what they're looking at. So I also like to say one of the things I like to do is, and the next thing I'm going to talk about is, you have, for us that are on the, with the technology tools, we have to introduce what the next phase is to the people who use technology. So there may be, whatever, there's 300,000 churches, there may only be 1,500 that are thinking about the metaverse. But I think it's important, when these churches make their budgets, to really help them understand this could be coming. So start working on these conversations with your reps. I think that's also very important because these tools are here. They're going to be able to use them. So part of it is me saying, let me introduce you to this and start thinking about it because it is coming.
Yeah, a big player in here is Apple, and they've introduced their new thing. I can't remember when it's going to be available. It's this year, right? Their Apple Vision thing you wear on your head.
We're getting real technical here.
Well, I know. I mean, Apple's really promoting it, and you've probably
like the
seen
gaming thing, the thing they put on there so you can do gaming and all
that's
that.
how you get into the metaverse, is you got to have one of those headsets. And it may be, I mean, where we didn't know what a smartphone was. I mean, smartphones existed prior to Apple making the iPhone, but they just completely changed the landscape of smartphones. And this thing is either gonna do something similar, or haven't you got your Apple Vision thing yet? Have you heard about it? It's the most amazing thing. It may create a major trend, or it may fall on its face. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I think for us in the business that we're in, the business of worship is that some of them who have the resources will try to see how they can use this. But I think back to what I said is they need to be able to use these tools that are being developed now, the simple traditional type tools, PTZ cameras, editing systems, customized streaming. How do we reconnect with people? That's really going to be the way, in this metaverse, why some like maybe 25% are looking towards it. That might be the next generation. I have a son who's 20 and my daughter's 18, right? They're going to respond to traditional stuff, but through technology, meaning a person, a video, something they can connect with. That next generation behind them, I think that's where we want to tell them where it's coming. So that's just what I see happening. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any explosion, right? But I do think some of the more advanced churches are looking towards how to effectively use it.
All right. So we've touched on hybrid church streaming as well as in-house, the traditional way. We touched a little bit on AI. We were talking about the metaverse here. What else is a trend that you think might be coming up? I'm billing this as 5 trends. I don't know if we're going to get there, but go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
I'm going to give you the most important trend that churches need to get on board with.
All right, let's hear it.
And they have to prioritize digital security.
Okay, good.
And I think this is one of the most. And I'm working with some people at this the content delivery and security association to bring more of this information. I talked to someone in North Carolina and I said, how important is digital security to you? 1 to 10. He goes, it's an 11. You have to understand, more and more donations are coming in digitally, right? So churches are housing people's PII, right? They got credit cards, they got Zelle accounts, they got names, numbers, they got email addresses, they got physical addresses. But no one ever thinks so. If I do money from bank to bank, I'm assuming security. If I donate to Ridgeway through online, I'm not even thinking, hey, are they protecting that? Right? And some of these churches that have 14, 15,000 people on a week, and even my church will roll over 1,200 people. So and most of them are giving. I think people, in the Catholic churches, they still do it. People are not responsive anymore to the basket being shamed into donating. So I think digital security, if it's not, churches better step up and realize we have to figure this out. And, there's a ton of tools out there, but they don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's a lot of tools. And part of what I'm going to be doing over at Church Production is bringing in these experts, and people will be able to kind of starting by teaching them how to do it. We're going to teach them. These experts are going to teach them, and we're probably going to have like an online event where people could come in and from the experts they can learn. But if I had to say one thing, this is a big deal, because once if people start hacking into churches and stealing people's information, churches are going to lose their donations quickly. People are going to run.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very important part of this is, to me, is the biggest trend right now. And listen, they're all creating unique content. They want to protect their content too. And there's a whole nother thing with smart content and embedding stuff, but that's another thing that I'm going to be working on, but halfway through the year. But right now, one of my biggest focus with my customers and with the CDSA is bringing to the forefront that digital security is extremely important right now.
Yeah. And there's a role obviously for the people that are managing and doing the transactions, the companies that are kind of behind the churches, or the companies that the churches are using for, the Tithelies and the Pushpays and those guys of the world definitely need to be addressing it. I assume there's a role at the church as well to ensure things don't happen. What kind of things are we looking at the local? I mean, my church is probably about the size of your church, maybe probably smaller, and they've got a staff. It fluctuates, but there's at one point there was like 4 on staff. I don't know what there are now, maybe 8, 10. I don't know, but those guys are managing. They have access to everyone's data, like you said.
Well, here's the thing, right? The thing is, it's great that, say, like the Pushpays and these other companies who are processing have their own security. You have to have it at the gate, because if you read about what happened with SolarWinds was a company that's providing security for hundreds of thousands of customers, governments. If you go read about what happened with SolarWinds, they got hacked. And what happened is this is all, we don't even know how big this is going to be. So what happened is SolarWinds gets hacked. The bug that they put in there was it sent out a message to all SolarWinds customers under the SolarWinds brand. Everything looked legit. Here's an update for your software. Go read about this. This software updated with whatever they call it. People can now get in. All of the hackers behind, they can get into all these things now, because the software got downloaded, and it lets them in the back door, right? So the thing is that everybody who's involved in transactions needs to take it seriously. So what's happened in the industry, there's a great podcast with this guy Brett Johnson. He explains all this. He's the godfather of hacking, right? And basically what's happening is in the security world is it's not like kind of just doing a sweeping, preventing the attack. You have to think like they're thinking, and you got to try to see where your holes are and fill them before they get in. So, you got to remember, these guys are spending 10, 12 hours a day in a room. That's what they're doing. They're just trying to figure it out. So read about the SolarWinds, and that will put a good scare into you. And you'll see that some of the churches need to take seriously. They have people's information, because it's not like Bank of America. Bank of America will give you everything back, but if a church, I mean, it's not going to be good. So that's those are my trends, guys. That's what I think. And, obviously all the standard stuff is still going to be happening. Obviously PTZ is still growing. PTZ, I mean, it's really helped, where the guys at my church, those 2 guys can now do everything. They don't need cameramen or camera people to manage. They set everything up with PTZ. The production quality is very good. And I'm doing a lot of work with some of the bigger companies in really helping get standards out there, standard operating for PTZ as well. So
Yeah, PTZ is a trend that, I mean, I guess it's been around a long time, but it's really, I'm sure you've seen it taken off in the past few years. Is
Well,
that right?
the quality, the remoteness of it.
Yeah.
You know, if especially if you have a campus or you have 4 or 5 different locations, one person can operate it from one area. It could be operating the whole production from one area. Don't have to physically be there. So there's a lot of things. PTZ is still a big deal, right? And that's kind of where it's going. Everything else is just, everything else is, the custom tools. Churches want their own video players, their own embeds. They want specialized streaming tools for them, for themselves. So I think a lot of those companies will do really well too.
Yeah, well, good. Hopefully that includes us. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we're running out of time here. Joe Palumbo has been our guest today, and he is Joe. How can people get a hold of you if they have questions or something? How can they reach you?
They can reach me at J Palumbo, Palombo, at pmipub.com.
One more time on the email address.
J Palumbo, Palombo, at pmipub.com, or my personal email, joephasideas@gmail.com.
I like that.
Joe P has ideas at gmail.com. That's a fun one. That's fun.
And I'm working on a book too that should come out this year, The Digital Age of Worship. So that's really going to help manufacturers and church techs communicate together. That's what that's for. That's for them to, it's not about, what's happening. It's really about how people in the church can work better with manufacturers and vice versa.
Okay, good. And that's coming out sometime in 2024?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. And people
I hope
can,
so.
all right. Well, good. I hope so too. So this has been good. This has been fun. I'm glad we've had you on. We had you on today. I've tried to get you on in the past and you just ignored me, but
No.
I'm glad that
I'm doing so much here.
I'm glad that you responded finally. Well, you're a busy guy, you got a lot going on. So, but this has been fun. So people can reach you, and it's been a pleasure. And before we go away here, Steve, we have a webinar that I just want to remind people about. It's coming up October 17th. And I don't know if we're going to get this podcast out pretty quick. So there'll be some days that people can probably still register. The webinar is called, what's it called, Steve? I forgot.
I thought you were going to ask this earlier, so I pulled it up. So unlock your free Christmas promotion toolkit. So our very own Mike Gray has put together a fascinating kind of toolkit for promoting your Christmas service. So,
all right. And just to clarify, people like me, when you say toolkit, you're not talking about wrenches I can work on my Jeep. You're talking about stuff the church can use.
It's all the resources that you would need if you were sitting in you called staff to your your church staff and said, okay, guys, I know it's not Halloween yet, but we got to think about Christmas. What are we going to do? Yeah. And it's all the tools that group would need to come up with in order to promote the service. So it's, designing sermon series things, it's, flyers and it's sample videos, it's marketing tools that you would use either on social or other areas. So it's all that stuff that church would be able to, they'd be able to go, oh, let's download this kit. And we're, 3 weeks ahead if we've got this kit in our toolbox. So that's kind of what it's going to be.
And they can sign up for this free webinar. Where
at
webinar.streamingchurch.tv.
All right. Joe, you got to sign up for that?
Yeah, I'm just upset that wasn't my idea. That's a great idea. That's cool.
Let's work together. We can work together on some ideas in the future. And maybe that'll be the new trend in 2024.
Yeah, listen, I'm always open, man. I love working with people. It's, it's fun. I just, it's very entertaining, and I always love learning. So I'm open to, let's do something.
All right, we'll do something live. Joe Palombo in concert. All right. Well, good deal. All right, Joe, again, seriously, thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you, Steve. And thank you, folks, for spending a little bit of time with us today on the Church Solutions Podcast. Be sure and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And if you get a chance, give us a rating. We'd love to hear from you. And if we can do anything to help you and your church, that's what we're here for. Just reach out to us at streamingchurch.tv. My name is Phil Thompson. Please take care of yourselves and each other. We'll catch you again next time on another episode of the Church Solutions Podcast.